Hello, hello. I'm Zachary Hines, and this is what you missed at the Straz. I am here with the refreshingly beautiful and intelligent LeeAnn Day Douglas.
What do you want?
Everything. I want everything. So I believe we have an anniversary.
It is an anniversary.
Our 1-year anniversary as podcast husband and wife.
Oh my gosh. Is that what it is?
Yes. What did you get me?
I didn't get you anything. I know. Isn't that terrible?
Oh, horrible.
I know. But when we get back together in real life and not like on Zoom, I'll get you something, I promise. So let's talk about Hamilton.
Hamilton. I have some thoughts. First of all,
Okay, well, first, was this the first time you saw it?
yes, I am ashamed to admit this is my first Hamilton experience.
Okay, so I saw it at the Straz Center, and I saw it from the front of the orchestra. So I was really close. I had bought a friend her ticket for her Christmas present, and we were able to buy, a certain amount, staff. And so she had asked a friend if she wanted to come. So there were 4 of us. And so her friend had paid for the 4th ticket. So I only paid for 3, thank goodness. And this was so stressful because I was so stressed about being late for Hamilton. It was sold out. There are no spare seats. Like if I missed it, I could go the next day or anything like that. So I really wanted to get there early. So we got there super, 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 super early. We took a walk on the Riverwalk. Doors weren't even open yet. So then we finally get in. We get in our seats, and our friend gets there. She finally meets us. We get her in her seat. She realizes she doesn't have her wallet and her phone. And so she goes back out to the Poe garage, looks through her car, and, time's ticking down to the curtain now. And I'm all stressed out she's not going to get back in time. I don't know why I was stressed out about her. I was already where I needed to be. But I was stressed out about her. She comes back in. It's not in my car. I don't know where I left it. So she leaves for 20 minutes. And she is just gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's not going to make it in time. She's not going to make it in time. She's not going to make it in time. She did. She walked in right as the lights were going down. And I was like, this is the most stressful situation. It was not the way I like to start seeing a show.
Did she find her wallet?
She did. She found her stuff.
Where was it?
I can't even remember. I was just so stressed out that she was going to miss part of this show because the tickets were really expensive. So I didn't want her to miss. Obviously, she wasn't that concerned about it. So I should have just relaxed. But yeah, that was my beginning to Hamilton. But we did see it at the Straz Center. So this was my second Hamilton experience.
So I always really, what I was most impressed by is, expectations can ruin anything,
Mm-hmm.
some things, if you wait too long to see it, after it's gotten all this hype and all these won every award, it's the greatest thing that ever happened to the world of theater, or movies or whatever. And then if you're a little late to seeing it and you see it after all of that hype, then you're kind of it's almost impossible to live up to that,
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a little worried about watching Hamilton because I hadn't seen it when it first came out. So I had these, really high expectations. And, it actually met them. I actually was like, wow, this is really incredible.
So the first time I saw it, I was not that impressed.
Ooh.
I know. And I have reasons behind that. I mean, I spent a lot of money on my tickets, much more than I have ever spent on anything like that, on any kind of entertainment. I spent more. I just went out and I said, you know what? If I'm going to see Hamilton, I'm going to do it right. And I'm going to see it from the beginning. So it needed to live up to that price level for me. And I am not a big spender. So it needs to really just wipe me out to have met that financial expectation. The other problem that I have is I did not memorize the soundtrack at all. So I went in there, I could not understand what they were saying. Because the rap gets really fast.
Oh my God, they rap so fast. And I actually didn't listen to any of the music, only from what I saw on like performances, like at the Tonys or on TV. But I didn't know really any of the music. And I don't know if it was just because it was filmed, but I followed along really well. Like I was kind of nervous. I was like, well, should I didn't even have to put on captions. I know like my parents put the captions on.
I put the captions on. Yes, and I enjoyed the Disney Plus version with the captions on so much better because I could understand everything that they were saying and truly appreciate the mastery in the rap and the lyrics and how clever it was and how hard that is, and being able to see what they were saying really helped me appreciate it so much more. And having seen Freestyle Love Supreme on Broadway also gave me an appreciation for that art form because it was like, and it was even staged in some scenes just like Freestyle Love Supreme, where they're sitting around and it was like they were freestyling, but they weren't because it was written lyrics. But if you put yourself back in 1780, it looks like a freestyle. So I really appreciated it much more after seeing Freestyle Love Supreme.
You know who is Hamilton's biggest fan now?
Who?
Our beloved guest host, Debbie Hines.
Oh,
She loves it. She loves it.
Good, good. That's great. That's
She
great.
was so nervous. She was like, I don't know if I'll, she didn't see it when it came through Tampa because she was worried that she wouldn't be able to understand. But she loved it. Every call that we've had since she watched it, she can't stop talking about it.
But she did watch it with the captions on.
She did watch it with the captions on.
Yeah, yeah. It helps. It helps a lot.
So I have so many thoughts. I thought the music was incredible. I thought, I wasn't surprised about that though, because I love In the Heights. In the Heights is one of my favorite musicals.
Me too. I loved In the Heights.
We can go over like what everyone knows. Like, yes, it's ingenious in how like it reinvents a historical story and updates it and modernizes it for a contemporary audience. And, all of that is really like the, it was so over the top back then. Like even the concept of dueling is wild. Like, oh, you said something mean.
I'm going to shoot you.
I'm going to shoot you. And I'm going to have, unless our two assigned friends can work it out, which was there ever a time where they did?
I think that was like the birth of mediation.
Yes, or therapy. This is probably the most controversial statement I will make. But honestly, after watching Hamilton, I was like, this musical should have been about Elizabeth Hamilton.
Thank you. That's exactly what I thought. Eliza just, at the end, it just all becomes about her. And oh my God. Okay, number one, it made me cry when I saw it in the theater and on TV. I cried both times at the end. And I was like, they should have made her the protagonist.
Well, yeah, like, why are we okay, yes, Hamilton did some great things, but also, like, he cheated on his wife. He also was, like, cheating on her, at least emotionally, with her sister.
Yeah, with her sister.
He's trash. He's garbage. And he gets this whole musical, and then at the end, it's, like, this one song that packs in, like 5 major accomplishments of her. Like, oh yeah, and by the way, she also was instrumental in the creation of the Washington Monument. And then she founded the first private orphanage. And then she spent the rest of her years fighting against slavery. And literally that's like 2 lines that all that is jam-packed in. I'm like, what? That should have been the musical.
I know, that should have been the musical. She did this and this and this and this and this and this, and wasn't she great? It's like, oh my gosh, why did we just talk about Alexander Hamilton this whole time when they should have been talking about Eliza? So
right. And I was like, and literally she did all these amazing things, and I have to give a shout out to all the female actors, because if I have any criticism for the show, and it is a common criticism that I've seen in other places, that the female characters are underwritten. And I really think it's a testament to the performances of the women, because they really made something out of not very much.
Yeah, but you gotta realize in the 1780s, females were underwritten in society.
Yeah, but also there were, all white people playing those roles, So if they had the imagination to cast people outside of their race, I think they could have considered gender. But there were like great moments. Like I like, when they were in one of the songs, they were talking about the Constitution and, hopefully women can be included in the sequel.
Yeah, which was really clever.
Yeah. Which maybe there should be a sequel about Eliza.
I'm all for it.
I would fully support it. I think that she was incredible. The actress playing Angelica was she was the best rapper.
She was amazing. I loved her so much. And every time she came on stage, I was like, oh, I just love her. Yeah, she was, number one, she was just beautiful. And then she has this amazing voice. And then her rapping skills were just like off the chain. So yeah, I enjoyed her a lot.
And what makes it even more impressive to me is she did all of that in a corset.
In a corset, yes.
I mean, come on, drop mic. She is the MVP of the show.
Yeah, I agree.
So I didn't really know much about Hamilton's story. Did you?
No, not at all. None.
Yeah, I didn't know that I didn't know anything so I thought it was really interesting. I loved all of the kind of different ways they portrayed the different characters, like Thomas Jefferson being kind of like a villain, but this very like flamboyant, aloof kind of guy.
Yeah, wasn't the actor that played Thomas Jefferson the same one that played the French guy?
Yeah.
And now that I know who he is, because Chris Jackson is actually, by the time this podcast comes out, his show will already be done. But he presented August 15th a live stream concert, and so I didn't really know who he was until I read his bio, and it said he was George Washington in Hamilton, and I was like, well, I hadn't seen Hamilton with the original cast, and I only saw it the one time in Carol Morsani Hall. So when we, got a chance to watch it on Disney Plus, I was like, okay, now I get to see who this guy is. I was like, oh, he's really good. So yeah,
I thought, it also was really impressive how much they included. It moved very quickly through the plot. Like they covered, pretty much his entire life.
Yeah.
And just moving from granted, a lot of it is stuff that you already know, and you're kind of learning different bits about things that happened.
Jealousy, not being in the room where it happens. I mean, that song is, and we still have that today, right? When it comes to power and wanting to have power and wanting to be in the room where decisions are made and all of these and policy is made and all of these things happen. And if you're not in the room where it happens, you're a nobody, basically. And
right.
That's kind of like what ends up killing Hamilton. I mean, what was Leslie Odom Jr.'s character's name?
Aaron Burr.
Aaron Burr. So he played Aaron Burr, who's the one that shot Hamilton in a duel. And they just have this contentious relationship right from the beginning. And Aaron Burr is running for president against Thomas Jefferson, and Hamilton doesn't like either of them, but I guess he likes Thomas Jefferson better because he backs Thomas Jefferson, and everybody listens to Hamilton. So Burr loses the election, ends up shooting Hamilton.
Right, because Hamilton and Burr were kind of, yin and yang almost. Like Hamilton was portrayed as, constantly creating, constantly writing, speaking his mind and just going for it. Like, they always say like he's writing like he's running out of time. Like he had so much he needed to do because he was worried he wouldn't have enough time to do it. And Aaron Burr was portrayed as someone who kind of bided his time, was waiting for his moment, was kind of playing by the rules.
Never took a stand, never told people where he stood, never told people how he felt. And yeah, and that's something that he said, like the first thing he says to Alexander Hamilton when he meets him, when he first gets off the boat, is, I have some advice for you. Talk less, smile more. And that
Mhm.
becomes, he's just trying to tell him, shut up, stop telling people what you're thinking, and just smile and shake their hands, and you'll make it just fine. And Hamilton does the exact opposite.
Right. And, I really and so Hamilton decides to back Thomas Jefferson because he feels like he doesn't know where Aaron Burr stands or what he stands for, and at least Thomas Jefferson stands for something. And it's interesting how, after Aaron Burr shot Hamilton, that became his legacy. His whole career was destroyed because of that, and that's really the biggest thing he's known for. I thought it was really great that the show presented Hamilton as an imperfect person.
Mm-hmm.
A lot I know we kind of teased about how, all the horrible things he did, like cheating on his wife and stuff. But I like that they didn't gloss over his flaws, that
Right.
they were very much, because I think a lot of like historical fiction or historical plays can kind of idolize their subject and make them kind of seem like a pristine hero.
Well, I think the founding fathers are already idolized and whitewashed, and I mean, history is completely whitewashed.
Right.
So, we just don't. The founding fathers were perfect in our eyes. It's hundreds of years ago. So, but no, they were just like us. Just fewer
Right.
gadgets. That's it.
Right, they were humans, and I
Hmm.
liked that they humanized it, and, um, I thought that that was a really bold choice, and it just made it more relatable, I think, that and almost like it's almost like it made it feel like greatness is in within reach of everyone,
Hmm.
because sometimes you see these things and you're like, "Oh, I'm never gonna live up to that, I have all these flaws," and then you see something like this and you're like, "Oh, that person did some really amazing things, and they also had some flaws too." So really anyone's capable of, and I think they go into this, anyone's really capable of doing really great things or really horrible things. What did you think of King George?
Okay, well, I thought the character and the lyrics that he sang and everything were all very humorous.
Okay, be careful where you go with this, because Jonathan Groff is my second husband after Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Okay, I was just gonna say it was a little too over the top for me, but that's just for me, the type of humor that I enjoy and don't enjoy
Like, in general, or his performance?
in general, not his performance. His performance was great. He was fantastic. I just don't enjoy that much camp.
Ugh, horrible.
I know, it was just too over the top. I think it could have just been taken down just a notch.
Oh, I loved it. Although I was a little he got knocked down to second husband because of that whole spit situation.
He had a spit situation. Yeah. I mean, okay, you're supposed to enunciate when you sing, because if you don't enunciate, people can't understand what you're saying. So you have to, I took voice lessons for a really long time. And when you take voice lessons and you're in the chorus and you're a singer, you have to learn to enunciate your T's so that everyone can understand what you're saying. But he was enunciating so vociferously that the spit was flying, and he ended up with this drool like down his chin. And I don't know how he was able to complete that scene without wiping, because my reflex would have been to wipe my face off because of the spit. And he didn't, and it was this close up, and you can just see it just shining on his chin. Oh, it was disgusting.
Right, when you watch Hamilton on Disney Plus, you are literally close enough to see the spit. But, one thing I do wanna talk about is the movement. I thought the movement was so beautiful, and almost like very kind of avant-garde
You talking
in
about the
how
choreography?
yeah.
I didn't think it was that special. What was so wonderful about it?
What? I thought it was really wonderful, like, how they moved through the scenes and kind of I think there was a
Oh, the staging. I was really, really pleased to find that Hamilton has a turntable.
yes, just like Les Mis.
Just like Les Mis, just like the original staging of Les Mis. And having a turntable really does a lot for a set that's as simple as the Hamilton set because it's just one set. There are no sets that move in and out. It's always, there's a staircase that moves around once or twice at the most, the staircase moves around. But otherwise, it's the whole set. And so they're on the turntable and they are able to walk through scenes, but are still standing in place because they're on basically a treadmill. So it looks like they're walking, but they're not going anywhere. Don't need to go anywhere. They still need to be in the middle of the stage where the spotlight's at because it's still on them. And you can bring set pieces in and out that way, bring other characters in and out that way. I love the turntable. Love it.
I thought it was great. I loved the turntable too. I loved all the movement and the way they just told the story through their physicality too, and just moved from scene to scene because they traveled through a lot of time and story. So and with a very minimal set, they definitely relied a lot on movement to kind of compensate. Um, which is another point I do want to bring up that this was workshopped and had its premiere at the Public Theater. Um, like Rent and A Chorus Line and many other, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of these hit musicals have their early life at a regional or kind of professional nonprofit theater. Um, and that's why there's really a funnel that of development to finally get to Broadway. Hamilton just wasn't automatically written as a hit and became this big Broadway sensational blockbuster. It started kind of in a more edgy theater and then eventually transferred to Broadway. So that's why it's really important to support theaters and nonprofits because they're the funnel to get things like Hamilton. They're where things like Hamilton are born.
Mm-hmm.
So before Hamilton became Hamilton, if I told you, oh my God, there's going to be a musical on Broadway. It's all rap and hip hop, and it's about Alexander Hamilton. And it's going to be the biggest musical theater sensation since Phantom of the Opera.
Mm-hmm.
I think people would look at you like you were crazy. So how would you rate it?
How would I rate it? I don't know how to rate it. What are you going to rate it?
I give Hamilton 10 out of 10 for every dollar that he is on.
For every $10 bill that he's on?
For every $10 bill.
Okay. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 just because they didn't give us enough of Eliza's story. And because you really, if you're going to see it in the theater, need to memorize it first. So otherwise, if I had seen it first on Disney Plus, I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, if you don't listen to rap or R&B or hip hop, I would listen to the score before seeing it.
Right. We are going to be going on hiatus. This is what you missed. And instead, we are going to bring you a new video podcast called
Straz gets smashed.
Straz Gets Smashed. So
Pew, pew, pew.
we are going to watch Smash.
Yes, just like Hamilton. I'm writing all of my musical theater wrongs in this quarantine. I finally saw Hamilton. We're going to be watching Smash, which is really a musical theater lover's rite of passage.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's all about bringing new work to Broadway. So
yeah, it's all about the development of a Broadway musical.
Of a Broadway musical.
And beloved viewers, I know that you just, are listening and you're like, oh, I just really wish I could see their beautiful faces.
I'm sure that's what they're wishing.
Exactly, because we just are too pretty not to be seen. So yes, we are offering a video option where you can see us live in the flesh in 2D. And yeah, and it's quarantine, so you got to drink sometimes to get through it.
Yep, yep. So we will be drinking, we'll be podcasting, it'll be on video. It's a good time. So,
Well, I can't wait to see you then.
all right. Until then, take care.